Right. So shea butter prompted me to get a new computer, and 2021 prompted you.
Yep. And there we go. We are now live. Happy New Year, Rara.
Happy New Year, Dr. Energy. It's really good to be here. 2021. All right. We all dreamt about it. We all wrote about it. We all put our goals and our dreams down in books and pads and video and audio. And here we are. We're rolling right into it. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I just changed my name there so we were the same.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. You know, I wanted to talk about, like we were talking earlier about our hair. We're giving hair advice. Yeah, we talked about the new thing that happened to us and what we both responded to very quickly. Talk about pivoting. You know, I spilled shea butter on my keyboard and ended up with a whole new system, and your system decided to like take a walk. So now you're out there replacing all your things. So we can talk a little bit about what we use and what we like, because a lot of people want to know, hey, what are you using? You know, what's your camera like, or what's your lighting like? And we can talk about that, or we can just send people over to our website and check it out. But these are all about tips, right? Like we really like to share the things that we do. So today, why don't we chat about hot tips?
The hot tips.
We got some.
So I think maybe before we jump into that, we should maybe introduce ourselves a little bit more. You know, so there's people who know us and love us, I hope.
Right. And there are people who don't know us.
And there's people who don't know us, and maybe some people who know us and maybe don't like us. And
don't love us.
That's okay too. You know, there's teach their own, right? Everybody's got their own thing. But to introduce ourselves, I'm Joe, Dr. Energy Piazza.
And I'm Catherine Asauer Myers, affectionately known as Rara. When I walk into the room, I like to say, Rara is in the house.
We're gonna have to New Yorkize that to fit with your New York background. And Rara is in the house.
That's the way it comes out when I'm not practicing.
Nice.
Accent slips out. So we have 7 hot tips today. We can give you more than 7. We have 8 because we just talked about hair. So and equipment 9,
and that can kind of applies to what we're going to talk about. You know, the 7 hot tips that we're going to talk about emulating the pros, right? If you've ever wondered or sat in a presentation, you know, in a room of 1,500 people, and there's been that big, really charismatic presenter up on stage, or you've been in a smaller setting and you see somebody standing in front of a room presenting and thought, hey, I'd kind of like to do that too. How could I do it? How could I do it better? Well, some of the tips that we're going to share with you today are going to help you to do that. So that's why we called it Emulate the Pros. And part of emulating the pros is looking good on stage. So having good hair or just a good, nice physical appearance can be part of that.
Right. The things that we do behind the scene before we get here, you know, we talk about this, like, what do we have to do? I was going to say, how much time does it cost us to actually get on camera? And we can do it very au naturel. I mean, that's fine, but we are not going to not be showered and shaved and makeup. You know, I'm not going to just get on without playing with my hair for half an hour or going to the hairdresser, which we can't do at this moment. But, you know, I have my own hairdresser room that I step into. You know, what do we do before we want someone to see us? And some days it's a ponytail and no makeup and yoga clothes, and that's fine. But we would like to identify, or I would, to the women, okay, women out there, what does it take before you get on a camera?
Right.
What do you want to do besides filters? Do you put makeup on? Do you know, all of that? So when you talk about your audience and speaking to your audience, it's what are they looking at, right? What do you want them to feel and see when they look at you? I walk in the room with my hair, whether I like it or not. So that's just like, that's the thing. Dr. Energy, you walk in the room with your energy.
Ta-da! I'm here.
Give your Superman gear on today?
I do not have it on today. I'm, you know, this is one of the secrets that we can share. When we're seated, or even if you're standing at a standing desk, I'm happen to be seated. You can see the kind of chair right here, and I've got a nice sweater on and everything. But I have to admit, I'm wearing yoga pants today.
Oh, you can't stand up.
I can stand up. You see my I mean, they're nice yoga pants. They're not tight fitting or anything. They're more of a loose, almost like a track pant or a sweatpant type of look to them, but we're super comfortable. And, we were doing some work together online previous to this. So I like to be comfortable when I'm sitting and standing and everything. But if I was standing up in front of the room, I would definitely be having probably jeans on or a nice pair of pants and my Superman belt for sure.
So you're doing that waist up thing because it's
like, isn't there a commercial, right, where the guy comes behind the desk and the guy says to him, "Hey, you're telling me you're wearing shorts?" And the guy says, "Hey, I'm a professional." And then he goes, "Yeah, I'm wearing shorts."
So when you're talking about the image, it's what people see, right? So sometimes it's just what they see or what you have to do to feel good. And like you say, feeling comfortable, that's important. Imagine if you were uncomfortable sitting here and be like fidgeting. We don't want that. Ladies, we know what that's like. The thing about being at home in front of our cameras, which we have been doing this for years anyway, is that you don't have to be uncomfortable. Like, remember going out and having uncomfortable dresses and skirts. I know, Dr. Energy, you don't know that, but you get dressed and say,
I've seen it.
Yes, you have. You've seen it all. How many hours do I have to wear that? And now it's just, let me be comfortable. Boy, my whole wardrobe has changed. It's actually kind of funny because I go into my closet and I think, did I wear that yesterday? Or do I have 3 of those? I mean, I don't not change my clothes. And the thing I want to talk about is, you see this fidgeting that I'm doing with the camera? I really want to make sure that you know this before you get started. Like, just don't fidget. Stop. Whatever it is. But later when you look at it, if your shirt's crooked, it might drive you nuts.
It's one of those things that, as a Toastmaster, we talk about these things a lot, about all these movements, like playing with your glasses, scratching an itch or something, or fixing your shirt. Some of it, you can't get rid of all of it, nor do you want to, because you want to bring some of who you are into what you're doing. Bring some of your own personality, some of your own idiosyncrasies, and be comfortable. And, being on camera like this is a little more informal than if we were doing a big presentation, say to corporate group or to, business owners or something like that. Yes, we still want to talk to those people as well, but everybody's a little bit more casual these days online, in this type of a setting. And so sometimes we get a little fidgety. Sometimes you're going to see me glance away from the camera because I'm managing the comments as well. So, which reminds me, please leave some comments for us. Let us know questions you have about presenting, standing up in front of a room, or presenting better online on a camera, anything like that, how to be engaging. We're happy to answer all of those questions. So shoot us a comment in the comments, whether you're watching live or watching on the replay. We will get back to you and either answer you directly in the comments, or maybe we'll create another video and answer you on video, and maybe even invite you on and something like that. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, our audience can know that they can count on us being here every week. This is
this is our new thing, right?
Yep, we have a new thing. That is that we're going to be here in front of you. You can get here whenever you want, every Thursday at 11 Eastern or 10 to 11 Eastern. You may have noticed, to capture your audience, we have a countdown. Yes. So you'll get that notification and you'll see today was a 5-minute countdown. Last week it was a 10-minute countdown. So you'll see that we're here. You may be wondering, why do we do that?
Yeah.
Why do we have a countdown? Like, why are we not just hopping on? Well, we want to make sure you get here. We want to give you time to park the car, get out, get ready, hang up your coat. We want to make sure that you're ready to listen and engage. So we give you a couple of minutes to do that.
You have your coffee or your cup of water with you. And
exactly. Yeah. I have my gratitude cup with my turmeric.
I have my love cup, my love mug.
You're that all-round wonderful guy. You have it all going for you, Dr. Energy.
Sometimes, some days more than others, I would say.
Okay, well, I see those days, and let me tell you, hot tips starting with Dr. Energy and his love mug. Why don't you tell us what do you want to start with today?
Well, I'd just like to jump in and talk a little bit about what you said about the countdown timer. The reason that we have the countdown timer is, like you said, is to make sure that our audience gets here. And the reason being, 1 second. It's always good to have a mute button when you got a cough or clear your throat. So there's another tip for you. But the reason we have the countdown timer is because we want you to get here and have time. So we actually start the countdown timer before our scheduled time to be live. And the reason is there is an algorithm at work in Facebook, and some of the research has shown that it takes approximately 15 minutes or so to 18 minutes for the peak of the algorithm to send out the notifications and for you to get here. So by starting the stream earlier and having some nice music playing, and eventually we're going to upgrade that, so you might even be able to see our cameras behind the scenes as we're preparing for the stream. And it helps get the notifications out there to the audience and to anybody else out there who might be wanting to watch.
Right. So we wanted to explain why. Like, it's a cool thing. It's not a New Year's only related thing. There are reasons. And if there are things that you see us do and you're curious, why are we doing it? Rest assured that we have researched what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So that we could respond to how to optimize and maximize the time that we spend here and that you spend here. So if you hop on at 11 o'clock and you can hear our banter, then you're going to figure out 5 minutes for the timer, another 5 minutes, 10 minutes. By 15 minutes, the algorithms, 18 minutes, the algorithms are at their peak. Right?
Which means because we start the timer before the scheduled live, by the time we're 5 minutes into our content, we have the peak of the algorithm. So we don't have to waste our time or your time, just doing witty banter and, making cracking jokes and wasting time. We can get right to our topic. So we've kind of teased a little bit about emulating the pros, and we've given you a couple of bonus tips. So Catherine, why don't you start us off with the first of our 7 hot tips? What's that all about?
All right. Well, thank you so much. I like to think about baseball, and you have a pitcher, you have a player, and you have a catcher. So the job of the catcher is you hear my background sounds, I'll turn it off. The job of the catcher is to catch the ball to strike out the player. Okay. You got that baseball image? We want to capture our audience. So think of capturing the audience. You know that expression, like in the palm of your hand? Okay, so you have the baseball, you have this cliche, I have my husband or my wife right in the palm of my hand, or my puppy eating out of the palm of my hand. Mm-hmm. You're imagining that. So we want our audience to be captured by us. We want you to feel, to believe, to take the action that this is worth your time.
Right. Beautiful.
Thank you.
The second tip that we'd like to share is that form follows function. And basically what that means is you can structure your presentations, your speeches, your stories in different ways. And there's no one single way to do it. However, it is necessary to create a structure, a container for your content, because you could have the best content in the world, the best ideas, the best information, but if you don't put it into a mentally digestible package in a logical way for people to consume it and to take it in, it's going to fall flat. Think of a bucket full of water, but it's got holes in it. And you're putting all your content as the water in the bucket. And every time you put more and more water in, it's just leaking out the bottom. Some people are getting some of the content and some are not, because it's all leaking away, but you have to keep putting more content in. But if you have a nice solid structure, it plugs those holes and more of your content gets delivered to your audience.
Can I say something on that?
Absolutely.
Think about when you're getting dressed. Think about your wardrobe again. Think about how you want it to all look and feel. And you want to have that put together. There's so many things that we put together. We put recipes together. We can put puzzles together. We put systems together for our business. There's a system for our car. Form follows function. we exercise. We have, Dr. Energy and I have a big background in exercising. And, form is important. Like, don't tell me you're going to just do any old lunge because you're going to hurt yourself, right? Form follows function. So when you have the right form, you know that it's going to work out just right. Drive a clutch, drive a stick shift, and tell me that you're not going to do the right thing. And how's that going to function? Oh my gosh, I don't even want to get into that. It hurts to even think about it, right?
Exactly.
All right, let's go to,
you want to go to number 3?
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about something like this. Stories. But in addition to stories, how do we tell it? Are we low key? Are we loud? Are we using our New York voice, our outdoor voice? Are we putting on a show? I'm not a TikToker, but you know what I'm talking about.
I like that flashing light.
Right? So do I.
Changing colors.
Because I had to have a bit of a show. Otherwise, I would bored. So when you tell a story, there are many different ways that you can do that. And know that when you're telling a story, you're going to get the optimal results when you know your story. So it's really important that you know what you're going to say. For example, you know the story that starts with once upon a time. And when I was little, my father used to give me a story, read me and tell me a story. He didn't read it. He told it to me.
Right.
So we know Little Red Riding Hood. We know these stories. They start with once upon a time and we know how they go. When you tell that story, take a moment. I was going to turn my light back on. Take a moment. I guess I'm not turning my light on.
Technology.
Right. Breathe. Pause. Wait for it. Use different techniques. If I lower my voice and I speak softly, if I speak close to the mic, if I look at you, I'm more apt to have your attention than I am if I just run off at the mouth and hurry up and say what I want to say and not really think about what you're feeling.
Right. Nice. Yeah, the stories are so important. It's what helps us connect emotionally with our audience. It helps us get a window, helps the audience get a window into who we are and helps us communicate our ideas more fully. And that actually leads into the next tip, which is the fact that I'll show you mine. And that in itself has a specific connotation, or it could have a specific connotation, depending on where your mind goes. I know where mine goes sometimes and where we went as kids. See what I did there? A nice little story. As children, when we said, hey, I'll show you mine, what did that mean? What did that mean to you? It might have meant, hey, show me what you got for lunch and I'll show you mine. Maybe we can trade. As older kids, teenagers, and into our 20s, it might mean something a little bit different. I don't know. The idea, though, about showing yours and sharing is sharing something about yourself. It allows our audience to have more of a connection with us and say, hey, I can relate to that. I've been through that myself. Or they will have a better understanding of where we're coming from, and therefore what we are teaching or sharing will land differently with the audience when they see a little bit of vulnerability from us. Now, it doesn't mean you want to stand on stage and treat it as therapy, because I've seen people do that, and that's just like, I'm cringing in my seat, and I just want to go up there and give the person a hug and say, hey, go see a therapist. We've all been in those types of presentations. So, but sharing something personal about your life, a story or an experience as it relates to what you're presenting or sharing, makes a big difference. So for example, I can remember sitting in an audience at the Millionaire Mind seminar, and the instructor, the coach, saying, if you would like to learn about how we do what we do up here on stage, stick around tonight after this after the main part of the presentation, and we'll go over with you some of the techniques that we use from the stage. And I thought, oh, I'll stick around. And I was surprised, out of, you know, an audience of about 14 or 1,500, only about 150 people stuck around, which I guess, you know, that's almost not quite 10%. It's a pretty good number. And he started sharing about what they do and how they do it. And he said, now remember all, and this is late at night. This is 11 o'clock at night after we've been in our seats or been in the seminar for 10 or 12 hours. But he said, remember this tomorrow when you're sitting in the audience and we're going through this. You're gonna laugh when you see me doing certain things that he just shared with us. And everybody else around you is going to be wondering what you're laughing at. And they're not going to know because they didn't stick around for this. And it's when he shared all those tips, that's when I really got into wanting to be the guy on stage and presenting, not because I could trick people or anything like that, but because I saw how what we do from the stage or from a presentation such as this, how we can help people. And that's always what I'm about.
Thank you. That is the authentic you. And when we talk about helping someone, very often someone will say, hey, where'd you go for dinner? What movie did you see? What car do you drive? What camera are you using? How'd you get that sound? When you did that, what did you use to do that? What's your favorite lipstick? Like, what's the mascara you're using today? Tips.
It's always hard to do this on camera. I got to lean this way and go this way. What software are we using? And it's over your head, right? Which way do I point on camera? I can never get it right.
And knowing that we will share.
Absolutely.
You can ask. So when we talk about, I'll show you mine, what's really important is to have someone ask you, can you show me yours? To have the posture that someone wants to know. How do you do that? Hey, how do you turn the filters on? How do you turn the filters off? How do you get the camera like that? So when someone is paying attention or you're giving value to them because it happens to be the right time for them to hear it, timing, then you have someone that you can show yours to.
Right.
Good idea not to show it if they're not asking for it.
And I think something you mentioned there is about asking, can you show me yours, leads us into tip number 5. You do that so well.
Lead you into this.
I want to lead you into it.
Okay, lead me into it. So when was the last time you took a long walk? When was the last time you had a nice hot cup of tea sitting by the fireplace? When was the last time you took a swim in the ocean? When was the last time you had to go chase your dog? When was the last time you took something out of the oven and it just wasn't cooked enough? A question can bring you right back to a scenario, right back to a real life situation. I can relate to sitting on the beach. I can relate to chasing the dog. I can relate to that not being quite done, having to put it back in the oven. That question will bring your audience, your guest, your partner to a place, an emotional attachment. And if it's a positive emotional attachment, that's where you get bonus points. You can go for the drama if you wish. But the question is what brings people into their head, and then they will relate to what it is that you have to say. And as soon as you get an or ah, you know you're good.
Oops. There we go. Playing with the software. I love questions. Questions really engage our mind. When we ask a question, our listener's mind immediately wants to answer it. Have you ever been to a seminar and the presenter is speaking and they're asking a question, and do you know what I'm talking about? Our mind immediately is hooked. It wants to answer the question. It wants to know what happened. Did you notice what happened there when I asked that question, but I didn't finish asking the question? Where did your mind go? For those people who are really into the details, their mind was going, finish the damn question. Why can't you just ask the question? They want to know what's the question so that they know how to answer it and what to expect. So we can really engage people by not only asking questions, but by how we ask a question. Pauses are really useful in asking a question as well. Rara did this at the beginning when she talked about raising your voice, lowering your voice, changing the rhythm and the pace of speaking. When we ask a question, we need to pause afterwards so it gives our listeners time to take in the question and start to come up with an answer. So pauses are really, really useful when asking a question.
I have a question.
Of course.
So what if you get up on your stage or in front of your camera and you just completely forget what you're going to say? You can't find your notes, something goes wrong, you draw blank. You've seen it happen. It happens to movie stars, it happens to politicians, it happens to teachers, instructors, it happens to us, it happens to everyone. What do you do when you draw blank?
Depends on the situation. You could just say to your audience, just give me one moment. I need to just check my notes here, make sure everything's all set up right. And then boom, you check the notes and get going again. Or you could ask your audience a question. What is it you would like to get out of the presentation today? What do you think about what I just said? There are all these, and they're open-ended questions. And then you can go around the audience, letting them answer the question, thanking them for their questions and their answers. And then it will usually trigger you. Oh, that's right. This is where I was. And then you say, okay, great. Those were awesome questions. Those were awesome answers. Now let's get back on track.
That's if we're live. What if we're doing this these days?
This is live. So it's the same. It would be the same thing. If I was doing a recorded presentation, it's easy. You just hit pause or stop and re-record or edit out what doesn't fit. That's the easy part.
And if your audience isn't there and you ask a question and they're not answering you because you just aren't able to do that.
Right.
Another good tip is have a story in your mind, sort of a filler story.
Right.
In send out cards, I call it a card in the holster. And I always have like a card of the month that I want to send to people that I meet. So have a story in the holster, a story that is short and concise, but I don't want to say but that, so nix that. A story that's short and concise that you can share at any given time that will be a great bridge, no plug intended, haha. Great. So funny. It will be a great bridge that you can say at any time if you do forget something.
If you get stuck, right?
Practice that. Think about the stories that can just come up and you'll train yourself that you have a 30-second or a 1-minute story, and that can get you back on track.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So getting us back on track.
Service.
Would you like to share our tip number 6?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Serving others. We have different ways of relating to this. Some of us, it's with our family. Some of us, it's with organizations, fundraisers. I'm a Rotarian. So service above self is something that's core value. It is what we do as Rotarians, as a mom, as a grandma, as a business partner, having customers and clients, putting others first. Now let's think about it. I hear all the time, I want to help someone. I want to help others. Really? Really? Do you want to come and help me dig a ditch today? Do you want to only help others because it's the thing that you do and get paid for? Think about helping someone. I was going to tell a story about when Alex McCarsky stood up in a Lit Tip meeting and he was telling everyone, instead of what he did for a living, that he has a son who played hockey and he was looking for a coach. and someone immediately raised their hand and he made a connection. And Alex knew that people wanted to help. He knew people would want to help. So instead of talking about his business, he talked about his life. And it was amazing. There were 250 people there, and it was instantaneous. So do you know how to help someone?
I'm reminding you, meditate.
Alexa's reminding me to meditate.
Hey, if you say it loud enough, you might be able to trigger our audience's Alexa devices. So remember, be careful with that.
Oh, look at that. I can trigger your Google Home or trigger your Alexa.
Or your Siri, who knows, whatever, right?
Right. Or Cortana.
Cortana.
Yep. So about servicing people, think about what you really are willing to do. And are you that person that people come to? Because you do help. Not because you can do it all, but you can help. You can be the connector. Think about if you really want to help people, is it only because you have that special lotion or potion? Or is it because you will go out of your way to help someone? That is a different level of service above self.
Awesome. And, I put the question in the comments there about how are you serving your audience? What value are you providing to them? And this leads us right actually into our seventh tip, which is our audience close-up. And what I'd like you to remember is that the star of the show is not the person on the stage. It's not you standing up in front. It's the people in the audience. Remember that the focus is on your audience. How does your presentation, your speech, your story, how does it provide value to your audience? What is it that they are interested in? So when we switch from that ego-based place of being on stage, hey, look at me, I'm the guy on stage, just do what I do, don't question it, to a place of creating a presentation, creating a story, creating a speech that is tailored to the audience in front of us, it's going to give the most value to that audience. It makes them the stars of the show, and especially when we start to ask questions from our audience. So if I'm standing up on stage and I'm giving a presentation to a bunch of, say, realtors, that presentation and my stories are going to be different than if I'm standing in front of, say, a bunch of massage therapists, or if I'm standing in front of a bunch of retail store owners. The messages are going to be slightly different. They're going to be tailored to the people that are in front of me so that they can get the most value out of being there, so that their time is not wasted. Their time is valuable. If somebody is giving you their time and attention, that is more valuable to them probably than money. So if they're giving you time, energy, and attention, treasure it, treat it well, and they will do it again and again, and they will keep coming back and hearing what you have to say because they know you have the integrity to honor them.
You made me think about, have you ever been on a canoe, on a dock, in a kayak, on the lake, and looked at the bright stars in the sky? And you know how that attracts you when you go there because you want to see those stars. Think of your audience as that midnight sky where you look for those stars and you are there waiting for them. When you are speaking to your audience, how do you know who they are? Unless you've either tuned in intuitively, taken the time to figure out who they are, given them an opportunity to tell you. If I say, I want to talk to you today about how to use a gaming mouse, and it's just not in your wheelhouse, and you didn't sign up for that, and I go on talking, maybe in 30 seconds, I'll be talking to myself. Maybe in 10 seconds. So if it's about your audience, know your audience. You might have a list of things that you want to say and do, but if you're not reading your audience, if pivoting is not something that you're familiar with,
right?
If you have a heckler or someone who's going to do
that never happens.
Never. you might need to know how to handle that so that you, as the presenter and the professional, can
Right.
retain the rest of the audience, know who's in the audience, know where they're from. And if you can, ask them, engage with them. This is a group, this is a page, rather.
Right.
And on this page, we're telling you what we're doing. We're giving you notice as to when we'll be here. And then you can communicate with us as you do offline or on the page or whenever you wish.
Right.
Based on that interaction and feedback, we come back and say, here we are, and this is what we're going to do today. And
Right.
look for us next Thursday because we'll be back. And how does that, right? How does that happen? It's because you're engaging with us. So we're coming back to give you what you asked of us. Now, if you have no audience because it's your very first time, tell your audience, tell them what you told them, and then tell them again. And tell them what you're going to do. I'm going to talk to you today about turning on your lighting when you're in front of a camera.
Right.
And this is how you turn the lighting on. And I just shared with you how to turn the lighting on in front of the camera. And now there's the value. You
Right.
told them, you showed them, and you told them what you did. I just want you to be aware, be really aware that you need to know your audience to the best of your ability and not just think about what's in your head and what you want to say,
Right.
because it's not as important as what your audience wants you to say.
Exactly. That's an awesome tip. And the 7 tips that we just went through, you can go and visit our website at B.U.Network/pro. And we have a page there. You can sign up for the 7 hot tips. We go into depth again on them with some videos there. And there's a workbooks if you want to take notes as well. So there you will have access to them on an ongoing basis if you would like to revisit them a little bit more.
Wow, I just did something I never did before.
Oh, what was that?
I enlarged this screen so that you are life size in front of me. Crazy. Oh my gosh. I just thought, what would happen if I hit that little square thing? Like, whoa, there you are. It's like, I don't want to react, but this is life size. If you are viewing us on your phone or on your laptop, or if you happen to be, I'm in front of a 27-inch monitor.
I was just going to say, you got a big monitor there.
Wow. This is like go big or go home, man. This is cool, right?
Yeah.
This is amazing. And then when it comes to how you view something, the impact might be greater if you give it some time, put yourself in the position to absorb and process the information so that you could have some value. If you're in the car and you're listening, great, we're happy you're here. But if you can schedule yourself to pay some undivided attention to us on Thursdays between 11 and 12, you might get something different out of it. Do you ever go somewhere and you hear the same thing and someone says, like, you've said it 100 times. I've been hearing you tell that story for 13 years. I listened to Jordan Adler tell the same story for 13 years. And every time he tells it, I get something different out of it.
Yep.
So there's a method to the madness of saying something and doing it over and over again. And each time you listen, if you truly listen, you will get value. Don't think because you heard it once or you did it once that that's good enough.
Right.
It isn't. It's not good enough for us.
I find that as soon as in my own life, and I had a coach say this once to me about every time we use the phrase, I know, or I've heard that before, those types of phrases, our brain immediately shuts down and we don't pay attention to what's going on, the communication that's coming in. And our mind starts thinking about other things. Oh, I could do this better. Or I know I've heard all this before, blah, blah, blah. They're just talking. And I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner tonight and blah, blah, blah. It shuts down our ability to learn and take in the information in a new way. Whereas, so I've always tried, and I do it better sometimes than others. We all have our moments, but I do my best to have the attitude of a learner, lifelong learning, that I've never heard this before. What could I get out of this? And that makes a huge difference.
I love that you said that, because there are often people that we talk to on a regular basis, and we might think, well, we know them, and we just get right into it. But I learned something about someone yesterday by saying, how are you? What's new?
Right.
And I learned that they're expecting a baby.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations to whomever that was. You don't have to tell me who it was, because
I
I don't know
won't.
if that's, if it may be private information. So
No, it just didn't matter, right? But I
Yeah.
wanted to, thank you for that. I wanted to identify, did you ever just walk up to someone and they say, how are you? And you're like, yeah, let me tell you what happened.
right,
And because you maybe need that audience,
right,
think about the engagement and taking a moment. Maybe they have something to tell you, and that's why they asked you.
right.
What
Instead of
do you?
instead of just that typical, hey, how are you? I'm fine, right? That's our most people's default answer. I'm fine, or I'm okay. And, that's a really energy neutral answer, right? It just keeps our energy just like this. There's none of this. There's none of this. Just keeps everything like this.
Flatline.
Flatline. And I don't know about you, I don't enjoy living a flatline life.
Oh, absolutely not. And to think
Actually, let me just take that back. I do know about you, Catherine, and I know you don't enjoy a flatline life either. So
you're
our audience, I don't know, because I don't know everybody who's out there in the audience.
Right. Yes, I definitely don't. You know me so well. And when you have a partner, a business partner, a friend, a spouse, don't assume. You
Right.
don't know. Like yesterday, my husband told me something I didn't know, and I was elated when he told me.
Right.
And so this is a funny story. The other day, he said to me, look, if I get this really good news, I'm going to text you when I get downstairs. So if I text you, it's going to mean like something amazing.
Right.
So I thought, okay. And I was on the phone, but I saw his text come in, and I immediately thought, like, big picture. Oh my God, that's fantastic. And then I read it and I'm like, that is fantastic news. And he said, did you read it? And I said, oh, okay. It's good. It's not what I thought it was, but it's great. He had conditioned me. Like, I'll text you when I have it. So now I'm thinking, when he texts me, I'm going to read every single message and every word before I assume anything. So you need to ask people. It's important to engage. Just because you know them or they're your partner, don't assume they're okay. Ask them. Maybe they didn't sleep last night. Maybe they landed an amazing client. Did you ever hear, I only need that one? Maybe that was the day. So keep an open mind. Have posture that allows people to approach you.
What's that saying? A mind like a parachute works best when it's open.
Yes, it definitely does. And you're so well versed in this, Dr. Energy. You're so good at this. You have people in your life. If you don't know Dr. Energy, I have to say this, like, not because he's my business partner and my friend and our great friend, but because you can do anything. You could have any conversation with Dr. Energy and he knows about it. Like, there is no topic I have approached yet. I mean, maybe I can go find one, but I'm certain, but negates everything. I mean, other than maybe childbirth, because
I definitely don't have a personal experience of that.
Okay, so then that's aside from that.
But given my training and knowledge of anatomy and physiology, I could probably have a conversation along those lines.
That's right. And you can have a conversation about anything. And if you have someone like that in your life, here's what I want to say. Honor them, respect them, be the person that they want to come to with information, because that is such a valuable relationship that you would have in your life. So not everybody is smart. I'm lucky. Dr. Energy is a genius. He's smart. So as a business partner, I could say, you're welcome. He keeps me on my toes. Build up. Surround yourself with people that raise you and honor you and value you, because it feels so much better.
It does. And it's that being well informed, or at least even if you don't know about a topic, having the ability to converse and communicate and think on and converse on the fly and formulate ideas on the fly is what creates engaging conversations and helps create stories. Like, some of the most memorable times I remember after the guy, so I played hockey with these guys in Toronto. Now I don't play with them now because I'm in Ottawa, but for like 30 years. And the way I got in touch with them was simply I was looking to play some summer hockey after my first year of university. And I emailed the league and they said, oh, this guy Ken's looking for some players. So myself, my brother, and one of my best friends and one of my brother's best friends, we all went and played with this team. And I stuck with them for 30 years. And Ken's one of those guys, he can talk about a lot of different stuff. And I remember one time we had a late hockey game. It was like a 10-15 game. So by the time you get out of the dressing room, it's 11:30, 11:45. It was summer hockey. So it's a nice night. And myself, Ken, and his brother, Jordan, we stood outside and it was 2:30 in the morning before we left the parking lot, just having conversations about whole host of different things. And I think the main thrust of that particular conversation was sources of free energy, Nikola Tesla and quantum physics. Like it was like really cool conversation. So you never know where conversations are going to lead when you are open to just who the people are in front of you.
Right. Don't be in a hurry all the time.
Right.
I watch Yoga with Adrienne and she says, when I was younger, I used to want to show off I can do a split. Back on off. And she says that, and every time she says this, it's a 45-minute deep stretch. I do this every day. And when she does that, back on off, I think it's such good advice.
Right.
Back off being in a hurry, showing off, just be there, like be present, like you said, be open, be you. Another club.
And these experiences, these stories that we end up having and accumulating stories, that's what makes us engaging presenters. And when I say us, I mean all of us, not just you and I. Those stories are how we're going to connect with people. And so don't shut them down when those opportunities arise. Just be in the moment and continue to accumulate stories and experiences and speak about them when you're doing presentations or giving a speech. It's one of the best ways to connect with your audience.
And remember to let your audience or your recipient speak to you.
Yes.
Remember to take a breath and let them get a word in edgewise, please.
Right.
Because if you're one of the presenters or speakers that doesn't allow someone to get a word in, you're going to lose your audience. If no one has think about this. Has anyone contacted you today? Has anyone asked you a question? Have they texted you or emailed or whatever, WhatsApp, whatever you want, method you want to use? Has anyone contacted you? Check your texts. If not, I'll pose this question. Why not? Why not? Why has no one asked you anything yet today?
Right.
If you're a giver, if you're someone that engages, you might say, I just can't get back to all my text. Okay, it depends on what those are about. But think about, are you reaching people? Are you having a dialogue, not a monologue, with them so that they too can have a conversation with you? We always talk about conversations worth having as our, I guess it's a tagline, right, Joe? You're muted.
Yep, for our podcast. Yep, absolutely.
Yes, so we call that conversations worth having. But in life and in general, conversations worth having are all the time that we have a conversation with someone because it's our 24 hours. We get to choose how we do that and with whom. So I see that you're putting up some great links for everyone. If you'll get to know this about us on our lives, we'll give you places to go and grab some information and listen to our podcast and meet our amazing guests. We just released a great podcast with Joe Mendelbaum. I love our opening 5 seconds. Exit strategy. So I'm not going to tell you anymore. Everyone needs an exit strategy.
I forgot to mention that at the beginning of our live stream that our podcasts are actually, so we've scheduled them. Yeah, we're being strategic about things. Let's be upfront and transparent. We schedule our podcast to come out on Thursday mornings, just before we get on our live stream, so we can talk about it to you. And look at that, I forgot to talk to you about it. So good on Catherine for bringing it up and reminding me. Our most recent episode 54, I believe. I can't believe we've done that many episodes already. It seems like we just started it yesterday.
We've done more. We're just pushing out.
Right. We've just published 54. We've actually recorded, I think, over 60. So.
And Joel's a really great guest. So go on over, if you check your inbox, if you're not receiving anything from us in your inbox because you're like inbox housekeeping, which is fine, you can go straight to our podcast. You can subscribe, but we'd like you to subscribe and receive some hot tips from us and get some value. And we have some notices and things that we'll say throughout the course of the year. You'll get about an email every 2 weeks from us. Won't jam you up too much. Yeah. But if you don't want to do that or whatever, just go and subscribe on Apple. You can subscribe on where else? So
Google.
Yes.
Spotify, all the major ones you can find if you listen on your phone, if you're using an app like Pocket Cast or whatever. Like I know Spotify has the podcast section now as well, because they bought a couple of years ago, they bought Anchor, which is a podcast streaming service. And that's actually where we happen to stream our podcast through. So we're definitely on Spotify. And then, Google's got their podcast app. Apple's got their podcast app. iHeartRadio's got podcast, name drop in here, but there's all kinds.
Right, well, you can subscribe there if you want to go there, and you can just visit our website and you can check it out randomly. It depends on how you like to process your information. We'd love to have you subscribe and see what that's like. Find the experience, have the experience with us. Find out what it's like for yourself. And then tell us what you think. Say, hey, I like that, or I really enjoyed that, or I wasn't so fond of that. Let us know. We're here to customize the information that we give to you.
And speaking of customizing, we would love for you to contact us at our website and let us know, who would you like to hear on the podcast? Or is there a favorite podcaster that you really like listening to and you'd like to hear us speak with them and see what they have to say, and how that interaction with us happens? We're more than open to having those suggestions, who that would be a great podcast guest.
Maybe you want to be a guest.
And maybe you want to be a guest. You have a message that you want to share with the world. And we're happy to have you on our platform and give you the soapbox, as it were, to stand on and share your message.
Yes, of course. Let us know what you're looking for in terms of content, and let us go fishing and go get that content for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Dr. Energy, what do you think about today's live number 2?
I think it was a lot of fun. I hope our audience got a lot of value out of it. And, we'll be dropping hints here and there throughout these live streams about what's coming up. So you might want to start tuning in. We're going to start putting some content on some other platforms as well as Facebook. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we're getting.
Is that enough of a tease? I didn't really give anything away there.
No, you intimated that we're getting busy.
Yes.
And we're taking action.
Getting busy as in we want to share our message further and wider and help others share their message. That's really what we're about, is helping you share your message in a way that will land with your audience.
Yes, and our favorite line is be you.
Be you. Just listen to what those letters, be you.
I love it. That was such a great name.
So I think that wraps us up for this week. And we will be back here live 11 a.m. Eastern time, Thursday, January. What's the date next week? The 14th. Right here. Same. What was that thing
bat
from
channel,
same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Okay. Ciao.